table of contents that we'll go through today. We'll go through the operations staff that we have, match day paperwork, and then we'll roll through the match day documentation procedures, including the scorecards, umpires reports, best and fairest votes, media awards, standard forms, paperwork for teams and managers. We'll go through the coaching box white card policy again, and also we'll just touch on 2024, one of the rules that we've still got in there, and the 2025, a couple of little changes that we've got of competition rules. So points of contact, Michael Lim is head of football and MRP Investigations Tribunal Manager. Obviously myself, I look after the under-18s and reserve senior male football space. Late last week, I was also handed the All Abilities portfolio as well. Will Ross looks after junior footy and football umpiring development. Lisa Patterson is the group manager and operations and acting female football coordinator. Email address is obviously there, and Jock Hillgrove will continue in director of football umpiring. Please ensure that only club officials are communicating with our AFL Barwon footy team. So match day paperwork and best and fairest voting. For 2025, the seniors and reserves and under-18 competitions will continue to be utilising online paperwork. The submission process goes through to Officials HQ, as was done last year. So clubs must submit all relevant paperwork, team sheets, interchange sheets, umpire scorecards to the umpires, who will then upload the documents to the league via Officials HQ for us to then go look through on Mondays. There's no longer any requirements to submit physical paperwork to Heighton. However, clubs must ensure that they store all the match day paperwork if it's required by us. So match day paperwork, scorecards, all grades. We're just going to make sure that post-game, the collection of scorecards from each goal umpire and from the timekeepers, the goal umpires and timekeepers' scorecards must be signed, and all times of entry and exit from the ground must be filled in correctly. If a club requires any AFL Barwon matchday forms, the forms can be downloaded from the website, and we've created a QR code. Just clicking over into some of the forms and what they look like. Obviously the team sheets there, interchange and the scorecards. Very important there to make sure that when these are being completed, that the runner is put in there. A number of times we're trying to chase up who was the runner on the day if there's an incident. So yeah, that's one of the things when you're filling in your team sheets, to get your team organised and get your team runner inputted into there at the start of the year. One runner per game at all times. So match day paperwork, best and fairest votes are completed by match day umpires. Hard copy vote cards and envelopes will be supplied by AFL Barwon, but we require the clubs to have them on hand and available for umpires as required. Best and fairest votes for senior, reserves and under-18 male and female football competitions will be submitted through the Officials HQ. Reported players and officials. We'd like the report form pads to be submitted, supplied by each club to the umpires. If you require additional pads, just reach out and we can supply those. The home club is responsible for ensuring that the correct report pad is available to the umpires on match day, each paperwork for each game. Each club must have an official who obtains the all clear from the field umpires at the end of each game, no later than 20 minutes. And we've asked the umpires to make sure that they don't finish a game and then duck off. We've asked them to make sure that they stay around for at least 20 minutes so the officials can get into those change rooms. In the event that there's a report, the officiating umpires will submit the online report, and an email will go to, at this stage, it'll be defaulted to the team manager, or if the club nominates an email, we will send it to that email address.
Can we now dispose of the 2024 match day paperwork?
Yeah, that's a great one. Yes, you can. And my apologies that we haven't come to you and asked to send that out. Well, I've had a number of discussions with clubs and said, yeah, you can get rid of it. But yeah, I'll send out an official email to say that you can get rid of the 2024 paperwork. The Coaches of the Year Award. So it's basically rebranded as just Coaches Player of the Year Award, senior male and female only. So team manager to coordinate with the coaches, and we understand that can be a little bit difficult, and hence why I jump in occasionally just to try and help through that with the team managers. So coaches are to complete Coaches Player of the Year votes on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 basis. Votes are to be submitted no later than the following Tuesday, post the match, 9:30 a.m. So there's plenty of time. Coaches' votes should be given to players from both sides. Obviously, as we said, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for each team, 5 being the best. We will supply the link for the current 2025 season in a date to come, and a link. Both clubs are to submit votes, 1 each. Best practice for team managers is to, when we get this QR code printed off, the next part is I will make sure that all the senior coaches in the male area, and Lisa will look after the female area, will get a link text to them, so they'll have it on their phone to access. And that was quite successful last year.
Second question, is the Coaches Award applicable for Division 2 women's also? I can probably answer this one. It isn't at this stage, but look, if there was an appetite to do that, we're certainly able to facilitate that. David, we can certainly take that under advisement. So it historically hasn't been, but yeah, we're happy to consider that if that's what the clubs are looking to do.
Match day procedures for team managers. Pretty basic about, we need you to try and be as organised as you possibly can. Obviously, coaches can throw a few spanners in the works with late changes. Where possible, print off your 3 copies the night before or the morning of. If you've got a few emergencies and you're not sure about if they're not going to play, just leave them on the team sheet. Ensure all players are registered to the club in the current year. This makes it easier for us because player points are now being allocated, so we're allocating them between Monday and Friday. Clubs, we just want to give you a bit of notice that in previous years we've been able to access and do this on Saturdays and Sundays. Commencing this year, we're not going to be able to allocate points post 5 p.m. on a Friday. So if there's any players that likely could play on the weekend, just give us a heads up and we'll get them done prior to Saturday's game. Positions to be filled on game day: timekeeper, umpire escorts, can be the runner in the junior grades. Runners, we get this a fair bit at the moment. It's 1 runner per grade. So all grades, it's only 1 runner. Trainers, make sure they're on your team sheets. Water carriers and individual water bottle carriers, we just got to make sure that they're noted on the sheets. Scoreboard attendance for home games, live scores for home games, interchange stewards, home games, goal umpires, underage as well are required. Boundary umpires, if required, from seniors to under 18s. All clear to umpires, as we've discussed earlier, 20 minutes from the conclusion of the match. And ensure all people that are undertaking the task are aware of their responsibilities.
Simon, do players included as emergencies have their points added to the total team points? I found that in the past, and therefore emergencies can't be added in the team sheet.
That could be just something in AFL Barn where we might have to toggle across so the emergencies don't come up in your points. I'm assuming this could be more female, but yeah, I'm more than happy. Flick me an email and I'll follow up. Match day procedures that we've just drafted up over the last couple of years for team managers: an equipment kit, bring a first aid kit, goal umpire's vest or coat if required, coach's vest. Obviously, we're looking for juniors in this sort of stuff, so they can be identified. Umpire's t-shirts or shorts, runner's vest, whistle, timekeeper's clock, match day footballs, warm-up footies, spare football jumpers and shorts, water carrier vests, water bottles, hand sanitizer, paperwork kit, obviously the AFL Barwon handbook that can be accessed online once we've produced it in the next coming month. Match day paperwork, as we've discussed, can be found online, and the match day envelope that we will supply, and then pretty simple, just make sure you've got some pens on hand. Resources that are required for preparation for 2025, same as last year: Loco sportswear for all purchase of AFL game day vests, AFL Bar Matchday forms, we will supply links for that. Training football orders can be done through a link through AFL Barn, which we will supply. AFL policies are also still available online, also with the Code of Conduct. AFL Club Help, Player HQ club training webinars and user guides are also being able to be found on our web, but also on Player HQ. And the Marsh pre-match checklist, the paper copy, we will have got a QR code and we can send the link out to clubs as we normally do. Paperwork for home club, rounding back over some of this, but to be placed in the umpires room, they get there an hour for senior games before the game, but we want it there no later than 30 minutes prior to the game. We've discussed the current pad to be available, and that happens because of Wi-Fi and a few other things, so we might need to do the manual one. Scorecards for the goal umpires, best and fairest vote cards and envelopes on hand as required if the umpires don't have Wi-Fi, and video request forms, and for seniors only, that's an online link that team managers have, and we will supply those links at a later date. Additional task, obviously, the 2 scorecards will be given to the timekeepers. Interchange sheet, get a clipboard and some pens for the guys. Only need to record the start times of the quarter, at half time, 3/4 time, and must pass this on to the umpire so he can upload it with the match day paperwork. So it's up to the clubs. You do not have to go through every interchange. Some clubs like just to work through their rotations, but we only require who was on the bench, start a game, quarter time, half time, and 3/4 time. Paperwork for both teams. Obviously, both teams is to be given to the umpires before the game, with all the officials who will be inside the fence game, so it should be listed accordingly. An inline drawn of players who are not participating on the game. So, as I said earlier, if you've got 4 emergencies and they're not going to play and they're not going to take the field, then you just put a line through them so there's no issues there with the umpires. They know who's going to be taking the field, or if there's any late outs. Jumper numbers, obviously, you know that I'll be ringing up and trying to work with you on this, but we need to make sure that they're correct so the umpires know who the numbers are on the participating day, and so they mirror what's on Player HQ. Extra team sheet to be listed best players at the end of the game. With goal kickers, you'll need someone to record goal kickers during the game, and where possible, live scoring is the best one. So just talking about senior footy, obviously every game we like live scored, but you know you can do it in all the grades, making sure that you've got someone giving them the access through your club. Again, match day procedures, a representative from both teams needs to complete the match day checklist, so the Marsh. So especially if there's only an under-18 game, get out there, do the check off and get that done. Team managers need to ensure the coaches kept to listed times of each break. So make sure that someone's standing there next to the coach, letting them know that we need to get these games going, especially early. Under-18s, we need them to start and finish on times, reserves, and we need to get the seniors away on the right time. Timekeepers must adhere to quarter-time breaks, as we said, and use the siren outlined in the AFL Barwon Handbook. Umpire escorts must go out to the umpires and accompany them at each quarter break, at half-time, full-time. They must escort them to the front of the rooms. Both team managers must go into the umpire's room or a nominated official to get the all clear, confirm if there's any reports or video, request and collect any paperwork that's been left over. Some umpires may just take all the paperwork with them, and that's okay. They will then send the paperwork back to us via umpire training on a Monday night. Away team managers is to provide the home team manager with their best players and goal kickers. Home team managers to enter player match results, best players and goal kickers into Player HQ. And as I've said many, many times, Player HQ live scoring is advantageous.
Does the ground report have to be done for every single game in a match day? So if you do it for the under-18s, do you have to do it for the reserves and the seniors as well? Or is once in the day applicable?
So we'll just talk, because we're talking about the under-18s. So if the under-18s are playing the same side as the reserves and seniors, both 3 grades are the same, and there's only 3 games on, the under-18s can do the match report, and we're all good, locked and loaded. It's only when it's, you know, an under 16 where they're two different sides, and then the under 18s are two different sides, and then the reserves. So just if it's all the same club, so if it's for a better word, St Mary's playing Newtown and they're all got the same games on, one's more than suffice. This is the rule from last year that we brought in, and more than happy for clubs to hold us accountable. When there's an odd number in a competition, we use match ratio, and we just wanted to make sure that clubs are aware of that. In the junior grades, they've been fully aware of it, but potentially in female grades or in the under 18 comps, there could be an uneven number, and this is what we use. It's match day formula there is to calculate the fairest way of doing this. So match ratio is now used, and if anyone can see that we're not using it, please put your hand up and we can avoid not having that done at the end of the year. Get it done in the middle of the year or at the start is where it should be done. 2025 football competition rule changes. So a couple of changes there from feedback from clubs. Under 18 grading. So under 18 match points for grading games will no longer carry forward into divisional season. Previously, instead of getting 4 points, they were getting 2. So going forward for this year, there'll be no points coming through. So that's a change that the clubs have asked for. That no percentage from grading game came through anyway, so there's no change there. But just to reiterate that percentage doesn't go through. So if we've got a 14 game season, 4 games of grading, and then it'll be 10 games. We'll start. So round 5 will be the last 10 games, and then that's what the percentage and points will carry forward. Male reserve grade game. So the last possession rule is no longer in place for the reserve footy. Again, that's from club feedback. If the ball goes out of bounds, the field umpire will ball it up 10 metres in from the boundary line, unless it's deemed out of bounds on the full or deliberate. If AFL Barwon provide boundary umpires, a normal throw-in will occur. The last possession rule will remain in any grades under 16s and below. So the white card rule obviously was introduced last year. Just going through that, we're still in the same mission from last year, that trying to commit to enhance the measures to ensure that the match day environment for all players, coaches, volunteers, umpires and spectators is safe, inclusive and in a positive experience. This AFL Barwon coaching box card policy is established by rule number 8 coaches and 17.3 of officials of the AFL Barwon handbook, and set out the objectives of the procedures aimed at addressing unacceptable behaviour directed at umpires from coaching box area. The policy recognises the influence the role of the coaches plays in establishing the behavioural standards of a team, and places the responsibility on that coach to manage the behaviours and conduct of the persons in the coaching box area by the code of conduct provisions. We understand that it can be challenging for coaches and clubs. We have seen some terrific initiatives by clubs where they've roped off and had people remove spectators and other people from the coaches area. And the umpires are also noticing this sort of behaviour has worked really well in trying to identify any bad language or any unacceptable behaviours coming across the boundary line, if it's coming from the coach's box or from a separate source. There's the brief on how it works in terms of the coaching box area, which you can read in the handout that we give out at a later date. And while we're waiting, I just wanted, in context about the under 18s, with under 18 footy, it's still classed as underage footy. So if a player is sent from the ground, can they be replaced? The answer is no. So the umpires do a lengthy, I suppose, education piece about this. So in the under 18s, if a player is sent off the ground, they cannot be replaced.